And welcome back to Week 9, Day 4 of the LPL, and the playoff run is still happening for all of these teams in the LPL. JD Gaming are in this one up against LGD, and it's been a rough ride, definitely in that first game. It feels like LGD may be able to find at least maybe one upset game against them, but JD, they really need these wins, and they need the 2-0s.
What's also interesting, though, is it's in the context of JD experimenting with their composition. They don't normally play around. I know it's the LPL, and everyone's really used to seeing a lot of Kog'Maws running around the ADC, but that's not JD's MO or their style. Again, it's much more about the mobility, the 5v5, and much more about Yagao. So I don't think that JD will reach for that style again. I think they're going to go back to something that hits a little bit closer for home, just because of how much a struggle Game 1 really was, because again, they need that 2-0.
Yeah, for sure. That's what it felt like. It did. They were definitely experimenting from Champions Select, but if they want the 2-0, they should just go back to what they know, try and bring that one out, maybe look for some more carries around the top side of the map, and because there was a couple of times when RD was just getting caught out. I mean, yes, phenomenal plays coming out from Jinu, but it happened 3 times, and at some point you're going to have to say, hey, AD carry, like, what's going on, you know, before they're able to win.
Yeah, and Artie is known back in the LMS as being a very aggressive ADC type of player. So while I mean, for all we know, back in the coach, like the big board meeting for JD Gaming, Artie could just put up his hand and be like, you know, if we built a composition around me, I promise that I can carry. Because he does have that reputation, but he is the most recent member of JD. He's fitting in. We're still trying to see what they morph into as they make their playoff run. But I have a feeling that we're going to see not a Xayah ban from JD. They banned it last time on red side. We'll get confirmation what side they're starting on fairly quickly, but I think we're going to see a change up in draft priority. For
sure, and JD, I like to see them, you know, adapting towards the end of the split, I guess, especially against teams that they feel they can definitely win against, you know, but it feels like other teams who are also in contention for playoff spots have been doing this earlier, right? Like, you look towards JD, they're doing it in Week 9 now. Look towards FPX, we're also exploring, like, going longer, you know, they were very much just all in on the first 15 minutes. If it doesn't work out, well, I guess we lost that game, but they were looking late into the game, and they've done that for a good, maybe 3 or 4 weeks now.
Yeah, but the same problems are still persisting, which is why, like, when it counts, just don't even try to play late game. Because JD Gaming still lost 2 Barons that game and then managed to win. When if you look at their monster objective control pre-20 minutes, it's actually middle of the pack in the LPL, fairly high. But if you look at their monster objective control post-20 minutes, it's one of the lowest in the league. It is atrocious. So want to avoid that. Doesn't seem like the 10 weeks have really, you know, changed it up or had any learnings there.
Definitely a trait that will kind of follow JD around just a little bit, but we can see LGD rather walking onto the stage right now, and it was a great game 1 for them. I do wonder whether that's the best that we can see from them currently, you know, because this is still a roster that is coming together. LGD are trying to reform and trying to figure out who they are right now, because with this new roster, it's just like, well, whose team is it? Is it Imp's team? Well, he's not here. Is it PYL's team? We don't really know yet.
I mean, logic would tell us that it is PYL, shot caller, and captain. But I feel like their identity is really about Jinu. He really popped off in game number 1. He was the guy that was making the flashy plays, that was grabbing the Kog'Maw, who got the first tower gold. I just feel that LGD should invest all of their resources into Jinu on the top side.
Maybe give him counter pick once again. Maybe get him a priority pick even, because he was very much targeted by JD. And honestly, a lot of teams will just look towards the top lane, try and pinch his pool, look for the matchups that can neutralize him that we saw from Zoom. And while it was really good early, you know, Jinu was able to push in, win the lane, allow his team to go up there to punish, look for those tower dives. We really want to see, you know, more from the top lane, because we know he's capable of it.
A lot of solemn faces on JD. They look very focused, whereas LGD are very vocal with PYL. And again, LGD have no playoff hopes. They're already eliminated from playoffs. This is simply for the pride of Hangzhou and for the pride of the organization. One of the pillars of the LPL, one of the oldest teams that we have. PYL, one of the oldest members, and they're just trying to figure out where to next. We're looking at summer split.
For sure. LGD though, or rather JD Gaming, still looking for their playoff run right here.
Don't they look so much more stressed right now?
They definitely do. I mean, they have a lot of pressure on them because the stakes are still here for them.
Someone give us a smile.
Sense. But it's tough because they need this win here today, JD Gaming, and then they'll be facing more teams, including Suning Gaming, and it's probably going to come down to pretty much that game. Pretty much that the teams have to win if they want that spot. Like, it's probably going to come down to Suning versus JD.
The e-commerce wars, as we like to call it, because JD Gaming is effectively the Amazon of China. It is a massive corporation that sells just a bunch of products. Suning is more of like a Best Buy of China. They specialize in electronics.
Yep.
So it's like Amazon versus Best Buy.
It's a big deal. Actually, the audience always packs out as well because the organizations come in and give away free stuff. So
give us a swag.
It's always fun here. LGD looking at this next game, just trying to find a win. That would be really nice for LGD to take home, especially for the audience as well, over in their home arena. See if they can do it as we get into the second champion select of this best of 3, and whether they change anything up in terms of their picks and bans. Well, JD Gaming will take away the Camille, Shen, and Tam Kench. They are on blue side. LGD will take away the Swain and Zach on the red side.
So they are changing it up with the Kench. If they do priority Sejuani here, it should be a Xayah pick from red side. I expect it to be a Sejuani priority from Jingdong Gaming. I always want to say Suning. Oh, there's a Xayah ban. Things shift.
Okay, well, JD, what are they going to prioritize now over towards them? Still a lot open for them. It's going to be Alistair, looking towards the bottom lane for Mao.
Yeah, so with the adjustment of having the Xayah banned out, not by JD this time, but by LGD, Alistair can rise up in priority because then you lose the 180C that really pushes Alistair, not out of the meta, but out of a lot of LPL priority. Yeah, makes Varus that much higher in priority. Was banned last time around. Varus low mobility ADC, so you have the targetable lockdown for him.
This time, though, he won't have an easy Tam Kench just to lock in alongside it here for PYL. So it will be the Varus, but have to look towards a different support now into the bottom lane.
I mean, it's got plenty of options. I would grab up the jungler here. I still feel that Sejuani is probably the big sore thumb that sticks out. Not necessarily so much for Intruder, but very much for Clid. So Intruder should take it as a denial. We saw how influential it was for JD. They love to play around it.
No, definitely.
They're going to give it away.
Left turn, it's going to be Leona into the bottom lane. So the bot lane gets locked in. Definitely looking for more aggression down there, and they will give away the Sejuani. And Clid was able to absorb that pressure. Alpha Intruder on his signature pick, no less, on the Kha'Zix.
And again, I just feel that these hard engaged champions, we've looked at Gragas, Jarvan, and Sejuani, but just anything where Clid can just throw out CC. I like Sejuani because it's non-committal CC that she's throwing out, and just force 5v5s for JD, because that's their identity. They love to 5v5 all of the time.
And it will just double lock it in. Sejuani comes out, including the Gnar into the top lane, so taking that one away from Jinnu. However, there's an opportunity now for Jinnu's pick up his top laner right here, knowing the top lane matchup. Gangplank was banned out in the last game, so he could pick this up here.
This is like the anti-ADC composition that's being set up for LGD. They're gambling on the fact that JD are going to force or pick another hyper carry for RD, because now you have a Gangplank ultimate and a Leona ultimate that you can throw into the backline and just deny any sort of low mobility pick there.
And just try and murder RD again. Yeah, LGD will take away the Jhin right here into the bottom lane. JD, let's see where they're going to target, because they don't have to hit top lane anymore. They can look towards Yuki.
I would pinch jungle pool. I would grab the Kha'Zix away from Intruder, just because it is one of his signature picks.
Yeah, that would be a Zac ban, a Sejuani ban, Kha'Zix, Camille even goes into the jungle.
Are we not going to ban?
There we go, Skarner. So definitely hitting the jungle once again. We'll see what that second ban is, see if it's another jungle ban. LGD, back over to them.
Continue to pinch the ADC pool so that you get a good one. Obviously, LGD put a lot of emphasis on prioritizing their bot lane very highly. They want to run a kill bot lane, which there is a lot of pressure there with Leona and Varus at pretty much all levels, level 3 especially.
Once you have all those abilities. And
take away
Ezreal, yeah, take away all the safety. I mean, it's still picks like, you know, Tristana and Caitlyn who can play back here if RD wants to move towards something like that.
But this is effectively LGD, FDY, and PYL alphabet soup. They're saying, we dare you.
Yeah, please pick something.
Caitlyn makes a lot of sense. She's one of the few champions that can compete with Varus in lane. In the LPL, at least, Varus typically wins, though, when it comes to the trades, just because he can spell fling, whereas Caitlyn needs to overcommit with more auto attacks to go even. There's the Kha'Zix ban.
There's the Kha'Zix. So pretty much as expected there from JD Gaming, targeting the jungle pool. Now LGD looking towards their mid lane and jungle themselves.
Yes!
Olaf was still up, so I guess we'll just lock that win in for Intruder.
This is the moment where in JD's comms, they're like, oops.
Do we all just forget about Olaf?
I've heard that go down in comms before. Sometimes people do slip through the cracks.
Yeah. There's a lot of champions in League of Legends. Sometimes they just get through the cracks. We're hovering over Quinn. I don't expect to see Quinn.
You don't expect a Quinn?
Quinn is very much in the dumpster right now. Oh! Okay. Well,
Dom's gonna lose it.
JD Gaming lock in the Kai'Sa. This is gonna be our third one of the split so far. We saw it out from SMLZ, which was fantastic. It was pretty much Rogue Warriors just styling.
But the difference is that the previous Kai'Sas that we've seen, and again, this isn't 8.6, this is 8.5. So Kai'Sa is not how am I going to put this politely? She's not a big deal right now. And the last time that we've seen Kai'Sa, it was because they were guaranteed to win the game. It was Rogue Warriors against one of the worst teams in the league, and it did feel like a styling situation. This is probably the first time we've seen a competitive Kai'Sa, and again, high pressure situation. JD have to win this game.
Because we were looking at this and it's like, well, JD, this is a must win. You're going to go back to kind of what works for you instead of just going all in on the AD carry. This time we have a rise into mid lane as well here for Yagao. But yeah, the Kai'Sa is an interesting one. We'll have to see how that works into the bottom lane because it is snowbally. Again, this is pre-buff Kai'Sa, so she is definitely weaker than she is on 8.6. But we've seen good things. We'll just have to see how it does in this game.
It's just, I can understand why you would take it into Leona, because Leona is really reliant on skill shots, and so the movement speed that you're going to get off, what is it, the W?
Supercharge?
Yeah.
On E, yeah.
The E could really mess with Leona, because if Kai'Sa wants to go in, and she's very good at trading still, she wants to go in, trade with her abilities, and again, Varus likes to trade with his abilities, as long as you're confident enough that you can then disengage safely, because if the Leona grabs you, you're gonna pop.
The thing is, for us, it's not a dash, it's extra movement speed. And you don't get
he
to stealth
wiggles
until
around.
later. Yeah, he does wiggle around. That is true for us, but like, Leona can aim, you know? It just makes it a harder moving target. So he just has to be very confident.
We saw all the hooks that Mao was missing. He still got MVP. It's PYL's
Everything's
turn.
possible.
But again, I feel like it's almost like a safety. You know, if you take away the Ezreal, if you see a GP, if you see a Leona, and you see a Varus, you're basically like, I have to dodge every form of CC here. Kai'Sa is one of the higher mobility ADCs that are left.
Sure, when the ultimate's up for sure, but in laning phase, I expect to see some pressure at least from LGD to try and shut that down in the laning phase, pre-6.
I feel bad because I feel like 8.6 is Kai'Sa's time to shine, and I've been pretty adamant with Dom. I'm like, no, she doesn't work right now. It's not a good pick. So I kind of want Kai'Sa to lose here, but we'll see. We'll keep our eyes on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's also interesting to note that a lot of these players play on the Korean server as well, which is a patch ahead. So that could be partially some of it, you know, playing on that patch that's like, well, this pick is strong. Surely it's probably okay on 8.5. I played enough of the champion to make it work. Let's see if there's actually the case, because JD, it's a competitive game. They need to take this one over LGD if they want to try and keep their playoff run in their own hands as we get onto the Rift for Game 2.
Well, we are waiting for the crowd.
Oh, there he.
LGD fans seeming to feel pretty good after game 1. We're definitely the louder group there.
I think there's just more of them, to be honest.
That's probably fair.
Jinu is going to find Clid, who is looking for the engage, gets the ward over the wall. Will
Hello.
flash away, decides not to take the undertow. Feels like maybe there's someone else around the corner and who'd be locked down, so just burns the flash.
Does mean that there's no sort of play now that if Intruder gets low in the jungle that Clid's going to punish it. You don't often see that from Sejuani anyway. So not a ton lost there, and we'll see if Intruder does anything special with his pathing though.
He's going to start off on Raptors right here. See if he actually dodges out the red buff or just give his position away over to JD now.
Yeah, he should be aware that it's warded. Again, he watched them walk into, and you can already see the ping go down to the blue buff. Now he's going to do it.
Okay. Well, in the bottom lane, we have this kill lane coming out from FDY and PYL, already taking control of the brush here. RD and Mal just came in with that assist as well towards Clid, so slightly late to lane. This one's going to push into them.
I believe it's been the Essence Reaver build for the Kai'Sas in the LPL. SMLZ starting it out. She is still a fairly mana-hungry champion. We do see a couple of builds popping up on Reddit, but nothing has been cemented since we've only had 3 of them yet in the LPL. And then you were talking about the Korean build with the Nashor's Tooth?
Yeah, it's basically Guinsoo's Nashor's Tooth and Depth's Dance is the core. And you were super good at split pushing. You can take down tanks super easily in the top lane, and then you can join your team later. But it's more about the split push, so you kind of go AD carry into split push.
So a Vayne.
Yeah,
budget
so
Vayne.
budget Vayne basically. But she gets pretty nutty because the Gwinsoo synergizes super well with her kit as well. But yeah, we'll see what we actually see out here. We've kind of seen a lot of different things. So Clid moving into the top lane, looking for this gank. It's level 2 on both of them. And Jinu looks like he might actually just look for the minion farm more than anything else. Flashes away, gonna be followed up by Clid right here. And maybe he's disengaged enough from this one. Zoom can't quite get in range because he took all that damage, and Jinu would just walk it off.
And that was with information about Intruder. The fact that he chose to go for the red buff, was spotted out by the ward, gives Clid enough time to walk all the way around the Rift Herald pit and to look for a gank like that. So still very very well worth because he burns both summoners on Jinu, and he could look for the repeat.
He's actually going to go back into his jungle here, probably take out the crab and, yeah, maybe look for the repeat.
I would literally just walk it all the way back around Rift Herald because Jinu is forced to be is forced to be far forward in the lane, but Zoom's actually making his back right now. Unless he TPs back into the lane and then ganks with Sejuani after Krugs.
It's possible. I mean, Zoom is very low right now. It's probably the reason. Yeah, he's going to instantly teleport back in. He's in a position. Sejuani's to come in for this gank. Now, he was caught out on the ward, but there was no pings coming down from LGD, so I feel like they don't know exactly where he is. Jinu will play this one relatively safe, though. He's playing back in lane. He's not going to push up to the minions. As I say that, he's pushing up to the minions.
Don't with the greed, Jinu. It's not worth it.
He's thinking about it. He understands the risk.
If he shows, Klid's going to cancel his back. Sitting in the bush.
Gangplank's still in the bush.
Woo! We're clear.
Okay. Well, he doesn't know that he can leave the brush, but he's now safe. So Jinu will not immediately go up to that one. Intruder, meanwhile, is going to move on to this dragon. It is Olaf, so he can take it at level 4. And there is a warding coming in from PYL, so he is relatively clear.
Yeah, and this is one of the cool things about starting on the top side of the map, then. It means that you get a fresher blue buff.
That was really nice from Mao. Moves up, places down the ward, but now it's obvious that Intruder is on this one.
He's going to have to smite early also for health.
Yeah, because Mao, if anyone actually touches the Olaf, he pretty much just dies off of this one.
I mean, if he's
so
left to do this, if he's left to do this on his own devices, he's fine. But it's forcing his team to really extend here.
Because the way that it works, because of how his W and he gets extra health back when,
More
when he's
damage, low health.
Yeah, but if anyone just like touches him, it throws everything out of whack and then he just dies. So he needs to pretty much stealth it. But now he's very low. We'll have to go back to base, and Klid once again can control the jungle.
There is an opportunity that Klid looks for the gank bottom, which is why Intruder is actually backing behind his bot lane here. Also is aware that Klid would be looking for the hunt, so still, smart pathing from Intruder. It's little things, like that doesn't seem like a big thing, but think of how many times in solo queue when your jungler just dies randomly, or decides that, hey, the enemy jungle had vision on me when I lost all my health, I should back in my own jungle because this is totally safe, right? So, little tips.
Yeah, because it's a knock-on effect, really, of what happens from there, because it's information, then what does Klid do with it, but now he's going to go back into his jungle. He was warded out by LGD as well. We're looking for that bot lane gank, so that one happened. Take a look at some of the farm. It seems pretty even across the board. Zoom doesn't even have a massive advantage against Jinu. There's even a wave resolving right now, so Jinu is doing pretty well in terms of his build. We can take a look at Kaiser's runes, actually. This is a bit of a departure from what we saw in the previous game from SMLZ. He's gone Resolve second. Yeah,
this is just the respect of the Varus Leona lane, and the fact that, again, Kaiser does have strong trading potential, so it's only going to get better if you do have that bone plating available to you, and you're still playing against a kill lane. Has a Doran shield as well. I always like to think of Doran shield start with Resolve secondary as the, I shouldn't win this lane, this could be really scary, so we're just going to prepare for the worst.
It's insurance. That's what it is from RD, but so far he's done pretty well. He's equal on farm in the bottom lane. They haven't been killed yet, so that's obviously a good thing. Klid again moving into the bottom lane. He's going to give coverage again to JD Gaming. For now, this Kaiser is getting out of this laning phase, which is only good things.
Is Alistar close to 6? No. If he went for the dive, it was because Ali was close to 6.
Because the biggest difference in the bottom lane between these two AD carries is going to be the attack range, because FDY has an extra 50 attack range over Kaiser on this patch. Yagao in the mid lane, moving up to Yuki. He's going to chase him down. Theoretically, this is a good matchup for Cassio, but Yagao's doing really well. Yuki loses this
matchup almost every single time. He played both sides of the matchup against Rogue Warriors and just got absolutely obliterated. So it is unfortunately just a Yuki thing that even when you give him counter matchup, especially Rise Cassiopeia, he just hasn't found the performance on it.
Yeah, definitely unfortunate, because it should be one of the winning points on the map for LGD to play around, for sure, with Intruder. But for now, Klid is, as a Sejuani, into Olaf, able to walk into Olaf's jungle and take everything away from him right in front of the Olaf.
What it means is that it gives teams the freedom to not waste a ban on Cassiopeia. A lot of the times when teams are prioritizing the Rise, they have to force the ban onto the Cass because there's so many good Cass players. But if you're against LGD specifically, you just leave it open and you look at Yuki and you're just like, I'm the captain now.
I will just win this matchup. I'll just win this losing matchup. And Yagao, he's very much a talented mid lane player when it comes to mechanics, for sure. We saw him style all over people in the first couple of weeks, and a lot of our highlights were really over Yagao to carry this team, because it was like, well, he's pretty much the perfect person to put into the mid lane role. If you lose Doinby, then you need to put someone else who has that carry talent, and Yagao stepped up.
And again, it's that flexibility that he can be the hard carry or he can be that utility player. So a champion like Rise, perfect for that.
Meanwhile, on the top lane, finally now, Zoom is starting to open up a bit of a CS lead, a gold lead over Jinu. place down a ward, and again, not quite stop the recall. In the last 0.1 seconds, you are immune to any damage, and being stopped from going back to base, you will go back to base no matter what.
I'm just happy to see the Klepto stripped from Gangplank there. He's into the Gnar matchup, so taking a more defensive keystone, but that also means that when a Gangplank gets beaten down this hard, that he doesn't just sit and get farm free gold and come back into the late game. You can actually see that now, because if that was a Klepto Gangplank, he'd probably be even, if not ahead on gold.
He'd probably be ahead, let's be honest.
And that's just really obnoxious to me.
Yeah, but yeah, in harder matchups nowadays, has to go for the Grasp of the Undying, needs the sustain. It will make him slightly tanky as the game goes on as well, so it's pretty much a necessity, especially against someone like Zoom. You know, Zoom will punish that matchup even if you are Jinnu. And LGD will get the small invade here. First invade I've actually seen from Intruder, and actually maybe punished as Clid is coming into the jungle. He has Jigao behind him. Intruder won't be able to make it out.
And it's the level advantage right now, 5 to level 7.
Ooh. PYL came up looking for the Solar Flare, but Clid was already out there.
Which has caused that disparity, because you have to know that if Clid had access to ultimate as his Raptors were being denied, that he would have just turned on Yuki and blew him up. So good maneuver from Intruder, and like I said, I feel that Intruder is actually a strong part. Even if you watch LGD games and maybe you notice that Intruder's getting solo killed or it feels like he's getting caught out, a lot of the times if you just look at what the mid lane's doing, you come to the conclusion that, oh, it's Yuki not rotating with him, it's not, it's his bottom lane not collapsing with him. I feel that Intruder is often making the right call, but his team doesn't back him up.
This is going to have to be a flash. Jinnu goes back towards the turret, and Zoom pretty much got him. That's straight up, flash away, and Zoom gets the 1 vs 1 kill, first blood, and all this minion wave.
And Jinnu, he's a player that he has a tendency to tilt, in all honesty. He's also been 1v1 solo killed by top laners that we would usually rank underneath Jinnu. It happened in the Rogue Warriors game last set where Mouse killed him. And if you play a phenomenal game in game number 1, you come into game number 2 and you're immediately ganked, and then this happens, you can really start to fall off.
But this was so perfectly played from Zoom right here. Attention Gnar players, the way that you want to engage on people is towards the end of your Mega Form, you want to try and use all of your abilities. Then when you go into Mini Form, you get Hyper, you can chase down your opponent.
It's effectively like your Jace. You just get that much more ability and tools in your kit.
Correct, yeah. Hypercharge will give him extra movement speed. You do more damage in mini form as well, able to chase down the target. So really, really well played from Zoom. Just finding that one opportunity, because you're right, it is like Jace if Jace had no control over when he transformed.
It's like Jace because of... I don't want people to be like, that's nothing like Jace. No, it's like Jace because he can transform and he has like 18 abilities.
That's what makes him super strong. Do that whenever. Mao and RD engaged on. Great flash from RD. He'll back away on this one. Teleport coming into the bottom lane will be completed out from Yagao. He finds PYL, pushes them back, and that is the absorption from JD Gaming.
Really risky to look for that play, especially when you don't have the GP ultimate available and you know that Jinnu has teleport. Like, that could have gone wrong 7 ways to Sunday for LGD to try to force that. Fortunately, they got out of it alive, or maybe not.
And now JD are looking for an engage on top of the kill lane. Killer Instinct comes out, and RD, he's got him. FDY is down, and PYL, he's without an AD carry.
And that's just the read that Leona doesn't have ultimate. They don't have the vital cooldowns. If it just comes to the straight-up 2v2, they are going to win. Even brought in Yagao in the back half with the ultimate, just in case something goes sideways. So, like I said, it was ambitious from LGD to even attempt that without cooldowns, and they're just not reading the map well.
Because that then left them to be exposed in the bottom lane, and it feels like LGD didn't play around that fact. Well, clearly not, because they died. So JD Gaming will get that kill. They'll move into the top lane. At the same time, also to pressure the Rift Herald here, which Clid will get for free, pretty much. I don't think Intruder's going to make it there in time. He now sees it happening, but Clid's actually very low. He's going to have to try and burst this one. Yeah, there's no one actually coming over, and Yuki would just murder him. Luckily, the auto attack came down. He finished off the Rift Herald, but I'm not sure if anyone can come and retrieve it. Now, this has turned from a different game from League of Legends. It's now defend the point. Intruder has to wait here and
capture the flag.
Yeah, basically sit on the flag and make sure no one gets to it.
He's spawn camping, but it does mean that Intruder doesn't get to do anything for.
I am the gatekeeper.
What? How long does it sit on ground?
Quite a while, actually. I don't have an exact number for you, but it is quite a while.
Unfortunately, I mean, you can kind of say it's a win. If JD Gaming don't want to try to force it, they could just, you know, farm while Intruder's left on babysitting duty. In fact, he's clocked out. Now it's GP.
Yep, GP, you're in. Okay, it's gone. All right. So it lasts for around like 30 to 40 seconds. It's a while that someone has to go down and defend. But in the end, they neutralized.
Those intimate things about the game where you're like, well, this should never really happen, so I don't need to look it up, do I? And then it happens in the game, you're like, why? Unless you royally messed up.
Now that was really awkward because if we go back to why that happened,
it was because
no one helped
just
him.
left him.
Yeah, Zoon just was like, oh, I'm just going to farm in my lane 1v1. I'm going to keep the GP here. That's fine, okay.
Technically, Yugao's fault. It was his lane that wasn't covered.
And Yugao is now trapped in the middle of 3 people. PYL's got the lockdown, and I feel like this Ryze is super dead. Yuki will get the kill.
Jungler just quietly mumbles in his breath, that's what you deserve. It was the Cassiopeia that rotated.
Now it's doubly as bad because we didn't get the Rift Herald, and Yugao also dies in the mid lane. We'll see if LGD can get a bunch of damage on this tower because Olaf is here and there's no one to defend.
And they've also can bring PYL if anyone does attempt to defend, which is why he's, well, he's being zoned out by Alistar, but he's also kind of sitting there because if one person appears under this tower, your potential to dive with Olaf Leona is very high.
It's about half health on that tower before JD
Flash?
arrive. Hex Flash over the wall. Mal says hello. And Yuki will back away with Intruder going back towards jungle. He's got red buff anyway, so he's going to be fine with that one.
I was ready for some LCS big plays. I wanted the Hex Flash into something crazy, and it was just so he could get over the wall.
Oh, but here comes a collapse.
Hello.
So I feel like Yuki accidentally dodged that one. Here comes Alistar, but he's going to use the ultimate, dodge all of this damage, and in comes a killer instinct out from Kai'Sa. Kill goes over to Mal. Meanwhile, Intruder wants to get out of this one alive, but the Ragnarok just times out. The timing was absolutely perfect from Clid.
I will give Dom this one. That is probably the first time that I've seen a Kai'Sa where it actually mattered that the champion was Kai'Sa and not any other ADC to pick up a kill. We've got one.
We've got one.
Put it in the highlight books.
Yeah, put it in the record book. It's already in Dom's scrapbook, I'm sure. LGD needs to back away from this one because Yugao is here and Clid and Mao are following as well. Lockdown, follow-up, pulverize, everything, all the CC under the sun, but Mao is under attack, but the enemy AD carry is already dead, so now PYL has to try and back away from this one, but we've got CC for you too, mate. You're also going to fall. Clid finds the second.
Now, this is what I mean when it's a bad read on the map, because that's happening to LGD way too many times, where just the communication is not coming across all their team members about where JD are. There's no reason to be caught out bottom like that when they also get to push mid lane. So JD just gets so much for this. And Yuki, he plays this as well as he could. He makes sure that the Alistar combo is delayed because he hits him with the Miasma. He dodges the Sejuani ultimate. But then here we go, Kai'Sa with her super long range, the ability to look for an assassinate because Cassiopeia has already used her ultimate and has both of her poisons on the ground. Kai'Sa is free to go and look for that assassination.
And speaking of Kai'Sa, I'm not crazy. This is a real build. Death stance, and now I assume he's looking for the Gwynsu's Rage Blade now, picking up the pickaxe. So he's going to go for this one first. Gwynsu's by itself kind of sucks on Kai'Sa, but if you pair it up with the other items, you can get all of your second skin passives, and it's all great. So once you hit your core item build around mid-game, Kai'Sa has a great time.
Kai'Sa has a great time.
Yeah. Also, fun fact I learned from Dom today, if you have Runan's Hurricane in a team fight, your E charges up 3 times as fast in auto attack. So it gives you 0.5 seconds reduced cooldown every time you attack. If it hits 3 people, it stacks.
All you're doing is trying to convince him to play more games with me playing the champion, and I just don't want that. It is not a good time.
Wait, aren't we on... Well, we're on the good patch, right?
Yeah, we're on the good patch.
Okay, so... RD is moving
regardless,
up to the top side. Hey, I'm just saying. He's got Mao in tow. It feels like they're looking towards the top lane right here.
He feels super strong. He wants to look for these assassinations.
He can, and who's walking back to lane? Jinu immediately meets RD in a dark alley. Doesn't want this one. He's tagged. The Killer Instinct. Who's going to attack the tower? RD starts it, so Mao re-engages. RD re-engages. Now flashes after Jinu and look for the follow-up damage. Needs one more auto attack. Heals for the extra damage. He's out of range for the Arcafian Rain. There we go. Finally finishes off Jinu.
Got to use the full chase potential there, but meanwhile it was a dragon as well as a tower taken. So I think it's fairly even or pretty much a wash. It is tempo advantage still for LGD, and it looks like they're going to try to push through. They should just tag the tower and back away, but these backs are coming through really late, and they actually have vision on Gnar.
Seems like FDY is just last hitting and wanting to back away though, so yeah, LGD will not look for this one. JD in the end then pick up the tower and the kill in the top side. It was also a tower in the bottom lane, the first one for LGD. And I believe they picked up a dragon as well while that was happening, so...
Yep, mountain.
Yeah, so they do get something in response for that one. But
overall, it was an LGD, they traded up.
Yeah. JD, however, still in an okay position. RD, important to note that a lot of that gold went over to him specifically, so he's going to be very happy. Yeah, he's 3-0. Now, just don't die 3 times and we'll be okay. He's also picked up the recurve though, so Gwynsu second.
Still very short range, though. Doesn't have the safety of the Kog'Maw range. Yeah. He does have the repositioning ability.
5-2-5 in this patch. Kai'Sa will have to reposition using that supercharge and the ultimate to be very careful about when he uses it. Long cooldown on the ultimate. Jinnu once again getting caught out on the top side, and he is pretty much just dead to Zoom. He's going to follow him down. This is going to be another kill in the long lane. So I don't really know what to say about this other than Jinnu should not have been there in the first place.
And there's no option for counterplay for LGD because JD Gaming smartly hovered beneath Zoom, created the safety net, and said if you do engage on R or attempt to chase, we're right here, and we're also positioned for mid.
Now Jinnu's dead, so it's going to be a 5 versus 4, or 4 versus 4 at
And
best. FGY just completely misses the chain of corruption. However, Mao, that caught completely by his lonesome. Flash out from Intruder. He gets the double slowdown, and Yuki will follow. RD with a reposition on the killer instinct. Can he get away from this one? Well, the Akafian Rain does so much damage out from Intruder, and also the lockdown from Clid. They get out alive.
Clid, the hero there, finds a gorgeous ultimate. Of course, Kai'Sa buying time, using a lot of those repositioning tools that we were talking about, and it's cool just to see a new champion on the field, mixing it up.
That means ultimate turret over to LGD, so that was actually really good for LGD after all of that happening. Top lane was also pushed in, and Jinnu is now in the bottom lane, trying to find Sanctuary on the map where he's not going to be killed by Gnar.
Let me tell you what tilt looks like.
Yeah, that was pretty much, that was a tilt death right there.
It was one of those moments, too, where you're trying to dodge the boomerang, so you're basically swerving like you're playing Mario Kart all over the lane, and Gnar's just auto-attacking you.
But the point is, if you're pushing up in the lane like that, you're playing with the risk that it can happen.
He definitely,
you know what I mean?
Yes, he shouldn't have been that far forward. We are in alignment here.
We are agreed, yeah. Jinnu is very much a player who will snowball one way or the other way.
It's like a seesaw.
Yeah, for sure. But Jinnu can go really hard. We saw that in game 1.
I feel like it's more like a catapult at this point, though, where he'll just, like, if LGD or whatever is loaded into the catapult, and if Jinnu goes off, LGD gets tossed.
I see. Well, we'll see if he can do it in this game, because he's down in farm, doesn't have the Kleptomancy, so a lot of that gold advantage that Zoom has in the top lane is sticking. But
he has an extended lane to farm in now, and he's been able to safely do it. And what he should do is just bounce between bottom and top and pick up the gold where necessary. And because LGD are on red side, all they need to do to secure the Baron is hold the red side Raptor ramp, which is really easy to do with Cassiopeia and Varus. Now the problem is that JD have blue side Rise, and if there's any champion that can break into this this triangle area behind Baron that teams need to secure to grab it, it's Rise with the Realm Warp, because he can immediately just get behind you on the ramp and just delete you from trying to cover those choke points.
And actually Cassiopeia's in a pretty good position right now in terms of gold, around 800 gold ahead of her counterpart. Top lane actually is significantly behind if your name is Jinnu, and bot lane of course going to be ahead from RD as well.
But this area that Clid is standing on right now, this is what we're talking about when we say red side Raptor camp. Now again, LGD just need to hold this because they want to delay the Baron. As long as you have control over that pivot point on the map, their composition plays really well that if you try to funnel up into that choke point, they're going to layer you with so much damage from Varus and Cassiopeia. So this is all they need to do. They need to hold there to allow Jinnu to stall to get the gold that Gangplank needs. But the Rise can break it.
Hold the ramp, but beware of
Hold the door!
That's the TLDR, got it. And ward over the wall. So LGD, they're still pushing up. They're still trying to get this warding down because this game pretty much will move towards the Baron, and we're looking for a comeback out from LGD. That we saw it in the first game. They could look towards the Baron once more, but JD is a much cleaner early game out from them, and soon we can pick up the blue buff. That feels bad.
Zoom is just going to destroy, and that's the other option for JD. If they don't want to try to play around LGD's high ground around Raptors, they could just try to dive Gangplank repeatedly. Jinnu's already having a bad time. Does have his flash up this time around, but stall for Zoom.
This is one of those situations where the 1-4 actually becomes very viable for JD, and they can collapse on that one as well.
I would actually love to see Yagao have a teleport available as opposed to the Ghost, and then try to make a play bottom with Rise's mobility, kill the Gangplank, and then teleport.
Because for now, JD are looking for these picks on PYL and LGD, but PYL burns his flash out here. He has Hex Flash, but that's going to hurt him for the next fight. But it's not on any of these carries right now. So Zoom, knowing that his team is again moving towards the Baron, can't push all the way up to this tower, even though he knows he can win against Jinnu.
Are you into rugby at all?
Not really, but explain it to me anyway, because I know you are.
Oh, hold on.
Okay, well, Clid's going to find Yuki. It's going to be the lockdown. Yagawa's following after. He will get the Rune Prison out there. Comes in with the full combo, but Yuki has a great petrifying gaze. He's buying so much time right now. Clid is not going to be able to get the lockdown. He's just a very slow Sejuani right now, and Yuki managed to get out of that one. Mao low. He's going to fall to FDY, and now Zoom has to flash out of this one. What is going on?
There was 2 fights that happened simultaneously. It looks like RD tried to go aggressive, managed to find a pick, but then died. and then a lot of teleports were expended, and we're not done. Go Sparrow.
Yeah, I mean, JD, they were forced up into the top side of the map. They're being corralled towards this tower, so they're just going to lose 2 more kills here. And that was all off the back of Yuki having a fantastic 1v2 play.
Hold the door. It is all about being able to hold that high ground. It is very hard for teams to break onto this ramp, and it looks like they go a little bit too aggressive. Now, it starts out okay because they get the assassination, apparently, but Kai'Sa then has used all of her abilities right into the face of Leona, and she can't just plant her feet and dish out the damage. She's not that type of champion, especially not at this point in the game. And JD, they have yet to get a single Baron this series.
Oh my god. LGD. I mean, doesn't this just add to the stat that JD have, that they are just not great at
They are atrocious at monster objective control.
Boy.
There's a reason why they're fighting for 4th, and they're not just locked into it.
LGD again find the Baron off of that play, and this time it was initiated by JD.
Raz's expert analysis on these Baron plays.
Oh, I'm ready. LGD are going to push towards the Dragon now. They already have the first Ocean Dragon, so this will be another one to add to their collection. RD and Mao are stepping up, but I'm not sure if they're looking for the engage necessarily. And there's a big wave on top side, so LGD will back off for this one, but then probably look to group and push.
Still fairly dangerous to do, however, because you're still waiting. I actually think that the Baron's not going to be used too much offensively unless they just see a clear window. And again, it should just be used to continue to stall out the game because they're still looking at that win condition in Jinu. Has his 3rd completed item right now, so is starting to do a little bit better, but still much farther down than he would have been with that Kleptomancy.
Did you count boots as the 3rd item? That's generous.
You gotta give him something.
There you go. He's on 3 items, folks. But Jinu, yeah, he's going to have a bit more time to scale.
Do you not count boots?
No. I think this is like an add-on.
Oh. Sad.
I feel like we've been misaligned for years, but okay. Well,
to be fair, my shoes are very stylish.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's part of your inventory.
Regard.
I understand, but this is a video game and that's real life, so there's definitely a disconnect here.
Says the guy with anime hair. Like, what?
Wait, that's Yuki. Okay, look, Yuki. I wanted to praise him in this game. We need to give him his time in the limelight because I think he's played fantastically well. Even though he didn't win the laning phase, look, I know, okay guys, Frost will make a face at me, but PYL is getting caught in the meanwhile. He's going to get locked down by Cleared right here, and the rest of the team is already there, so still going to be losing these kills. 2 kills over to JD. It's all just gone up in flames.
But let's just praise Yuki. He's the one who got the tower, right?
We'll talk about that one later.
Yeah. LGD caught out, didn't have vision down the mid lane. They had a ton of vision that was a safety net for the Cannondorf right there that was being empowered by Yuki previously. But if you don't have that necessary vision placed down the mid lane, then you miss it when JD just run down mid and catch you.
Okay, let's see how that one actually happens. So Rise comes in here.
Okay,
the party
fair.
arrives.
It's
the
Rise.
party bus.
The party bus?
Yeah. Here comes Cleared. He's got the lockdown. Goodbye, PYL.
He even has like the base and the lights.
Yeah, it's popping off right now. And JD will get all of that juicy gold over to them as well. But the reason why, Frost, look, the reason why I wanted to praise Yuki is because his mechanics were on point in those plays, and his team were able to play around it. So specifically talking about the top side of the map, they were able to get the 1 versus 2. Now, usually I was just expecting Yuki just to die 1 versus 2, but he didn't. And that's why I want to praise him.
You're like one of the analysts that shows up, and one of the highlight points for a player is his mechanics are really strong. To be fair, I think when you're a professional player, your mechanics should just be a benchmark at this point. Like, if your only qualification is you have good mechanics, everyone at the professional level has good mechanics. That's why they're there.
Necessarily true. I mean, in the LPL, I think it's true. There is a lot of mechanical talent in the LPL.
There's a lot of philosophical discussion happening.
Yeah, for sure.
We're too deep.
Oh,
Speaking of too deep.
Jinu was too deep. Mouse found him, Killer Instinct, knock up, all the follow-up as well. He'll flash away. There's the ultimate out from Jinu. Can he survive? Because RD is underneath the tower. No, he cannot. That was so much damage.
But does it mean anything when LG are literally raining hell upon your inhib tower? They're looking for the inhib, and it is a very long route if JD want to try to trade anywhere even.
This one's straight up gone. There's going to be the recall coming out from JD, but it's very late. Cleared, and Yagao cannot step up to try and contest this one. And LGD, they'll trade Jinu for an inhib.
And see, the thing is that type of play, I talked about this early on in the game, that's the type of play that I wanted JD to make. But I wanted them to do it with Rise, which Rise is looking for the chase here. Nope.
Oh, that's a fake out. Wow, Intruder didn't even move as well. That guy.
Balls of steel.
Yeah.
There's no other way to say it.
Literally, I was trying to find another way to say it, but Frost, you got my back.
No, but what I wanted Yagao to do is to, because he has Unsealed Spellbook, to swap out into a teleport. Because if you have Ryze with TP at this point and his ultimate, Ryze can make that play. Instead, they had to bring the Alistar and the Kai'Sa, which Kai'Sa still has a lot of that assassination potential, especially with her build now.
Yeah.
But it costs them really big, because they're moving 3 pieces down there instead of just 2, and then having the TP to get back in position, and LGD punish it.
LGD got a lot from that one as well. So in the end, the Baron buff, not only was it the Baron buff, they also managed to pick up an inhib in the top side, so it's going to be additional pressure up there as well. We're still kind of winning around monster objectives once more.
I actually want a timer to see how many Barons in a row JD have been unable to secure. I think that combo chain must be absurd.
Actually, yeah, we'll have to go and look at the last series.
That's something you'd have to count.
Yeah. Wow, okay. But that's, yeah, the second Baron lost here. LGD is going to be spawning in around 90 seconds from now.
Oh, here comes the deep flank.
RD, he's located in Intruder, but he doesn't want to be the first one in. Clid comes out for the engage. He's thinking about the killer instinct.
Oh, good,
RD wants to go in. He's right into the back. He instantly flashes away. Olaf looks to turn on him. But Clid, he's got the bodyguard with him. He's stood in front of him, and now PYL have to flash away. Yagao with the follow-up, dodges the overload, but the Void Seeker finds him. In comes the Redemption, and JD looking to continue to push. Jinnu is off to the side. He wants to get the poke damage down, but the GP, it's not that big yet.
Okay, so JD do end up winning the team fight, but I will give credit there for Yuki. That was a very well-played miasma that will save the inhib for LGD, because if Alistar had gotten in just a second earlier with his combo, if he had not been denied by Cassiopeia, that would have been disaster.
Well, RD, he went for the SMLZ play, the bullet play where you come in from one side and out the back, but he went in one side and then burnt all the summoners because he realized he was face-to-face with an Olaf, so he will have no summoners for the next fight.
That's an interesting pick into Olaf. If I had to think about 80 carries that Olaf would struggle to lock down, Kai'Sa definitely comes to mind.
Who can just jump to the other side of the team fight.
Just deny a lot of the runaround potential.
Also effective when you jump on his face, but yeah.
Yeah, as an ADC against an Olaf, you should feel so worthless. You're like, this is fun.
I guess he'll just run towards me and kill me.
I guess I'll just die.
I'll die, I guess. LGD will get another dragon. This will be their 4th dragon of the game. So if this game prolongs, then they could definitely play around the Elder Dragon if it gets to that point. Now, Baron is about to spawn and JD have complete control over the area. So LGD are going to have to push into this one.
I need to find more words that are synonymous with terrible, like horrific objective control.
Uh-oh, well, the cow is being caught out. He'll pop the Unbreakable Will, and RD is here. He cleanses out of that one, but Mao, he's kind of wandering around, waiting for the team to arrive. Big ultimate out from Zoom. Can he peel for the AD carry, though? RD would reposition. Oh, can't get close, but now his team is able to close in around the Kai'Sa, pick up the kill, and now Zoom is there by his lonesome. 3 kills to LGD.
Just straight to the meat grinder. Everyone is just high-fiving, running face first into LGD right now. Clid is trying to grab the wave, so LGD just can't push through. A lot of their creep wave was eaten up, but they've got one waiting at the top side.
And it's super minions as well. They've opened this one up, but the core has come in. Yeah, immediately, Pion's going to turn it around. He's going to pivot, and he'll move towards the Baron.
The literal worst times to die, and JD managed to do it every single time. Baron has spawned, and they're all dead.
Well, this is at least 3 consecutive Barons lost here by JD, and LGD make yet another fantastic play, find that pick into the mid lane, off the back of PYL, and it's all lights out.
And it starts with the pick here onto Mao. Excellent coordination from LG to layer their CC. Again, beautiful miasma. And even though that looks like a gorgeous Gnar ultimate, it doesn't matter because no one's there to follow up. Artie doesn't get that call. Suddenly he's in the back line. He's completely deleted. And now everyone's just, my turn, my turn, my turn. Piling in.
It wasn't great. I mean, JD, they're all split up on the map. As soon as that play happened, they obviously started to converge. You could see it on the mini-map, but it was just honestly too slow in the end. And LGD with 3 kills and the Baron again in a powerful position.
That was just a bar fight.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, for the last Baron for us, they're probably not going to get anything from it. But this time, they're in the driver's seat.
Can LGD close? We talked about how we didn't have many high expectations for this roster. Very young members, a lot of inexperience. They should be building up on their synergy, and you can see the cracks. But we're also now seeing the potential, the reason why LGD are investing in these players, trying to recreate their brand and this image around people like Yuki and Intruder. And I think Intruder really is a diamond in the rough. I've been waiting for LGD to give him another chance because I think he is worth it.
Yeah, he was playing last year alongside Amy and they're kind of swapping back and forth, but this is the first time Intruder's really gotten a good couple games in a row for LGD right here. Able to translate this pressure into the mid lane, look for this next inner turret right now. And LGD, they're gaining a pretty hefty gold advantage now as they are looking towards these inhibitor towers.
Yeah, this is one more slip up by JD into complete and total disaster. We talked about how the first Baron really bridged Jinu to become relevant.
Yeah.
Now, according to Pulse's counting, he's got 3 items. To my counting, he's got 4.
He's on 4 items.
Boots will count as 2. He's on 5 items.
Okay, okay. LGD are pushing up into the mid lane. I mean, they've got the Baron's up cannon minion, so he's just gonna sit there. And unless anyone can get close and try and clear it out, the tower will eventually fall.
There we go. Alistair's going in the end.
Alistair, he's the one to try and get this engage off. He's jumped onto Intruder. LGD are tearing him apart, though, through his ultimate. And JD are like, nope, we don't want any of this. But Clid, he's going to be followed after. PYL shoots all the way into the backline right here. And RD will space out, move towards the side, look to get the Ikef and Rain down onto Jinu. But in the end, that's a pick, and there's massive minion waves flooding in.
And that should be another inhib, possibly 2 if they make this rotation safely. You need to set up the barrels, create a wide net.
Jinu has scaled. He's taking out 2 inhibitors right here, and JD wants the cooldowns. Well, they have 4 members up, and Mao going to come up in around 15 seconds from now. So LGD, to play it safe, they back away. RD thinks about jumping in, but will think better of it. And then LGD, with all this gold, go back to base.
Okay, Yuki now gets his praise. I cannot wait for this replay. I hope we get one, because I'm not quite sure what JD expected to happen here. They literally port the Kobe beef directly into the backline, and then he just stands on a miasma and gets blown up. He can't engage.
Yeah.
Naturally, the idea is pops his ultimate. He looks for the massive combo. Instead, they just hand-delivered a hamburger.
Yeah, the headbutt pulverized, but yeah, he was just trying to waddle towards them and then look for the pulverized, but they just ran away from him. So good stuff from Yuki once again. And LGD have complete control of the map. This has just been a complete turnaround from them.
And it all happened on those 2 Barons. The bane of Jingdong's existence is Baron. If it was completely eliminated from this game, they probably would have won both these series very handedly. But that's now 4 Barons back to back to back that LGD have gotten in this series.
Yeah, I mean, let's not forget, JD having a massive advantage in the early game. They looked poised to pretty much just take this one, but it was, as you said, those 2 Barons. Now Elder's going to be up in about 80 seconds from now, so LGD will be very happy with it. Now,
the last time the LGD were in this position in game number 1, it all came unraveled when a simple pick was made. So, LGD, you've got the driver's seat, you've got control, now just stay together. Especially with this composition. It really works on that. FDY and Yuki have to be together to protect that Varus from the dive.
The LGD, they're pretty much turned online right now. This is very different from, in a way that, yes, it fell apart in game 1, but I feel like they're in a much better position to win this game in a 5v5.
This flying V formation here.
They just need FDY and they can complete it.
Like the Bash brothers in front.
And they're ready to go in. Jinu's lining up the barrels, looking for poke, clearing out the minion wave.
Oh,
RD's
no.
off to the side. He's looking for a flank. Finds PYL, clears out the wards. And it's going to be a bit of a stare down around this bot lane tower.
Okay, Clid looking for possible flanks. LGD have done a good job getting the vision above them so they can spot out, hopefully, any of the Alistar or the Sejuani that would be trying to get a deep flank on them. And because they have the 2 inhibs down in the mid lane, they have full control to approach the Elder and then 5-man stack bottom.
LGD have done a great job over vision so far, but JD are pretty much just walking into straight-up darkness right now, so if they send a tank in, they might just get blown up by LGD, who are waiting around the corner. Here comes the Rise ultimate. They kind of want this one. It looks like Mao is once again sent in. He managed to flash out of the miasma on this one. Jumps towards Yuki, and now the team, can they play front to back? RD, he's right behind him. He's in a 1v1 trade against Jinu, but in comes the flash from Yuki. They zone RD out of the fight, and he has to run away from this one, but he is on the wrong side. And Jinu flashes over and executes the AD carry.
And that was almost the last hope that they had. LGD now 5-man funneling. They see all of the creeps flooding into JD's base, and they want to break the last inhib. Use that as leverage if they need to go for Elder to end.
This is going to be it. 5 versus 3 on this one. Yagao, Clid, and Zoom, the only members remaining here from JD Gaming. And the bottom lane is going to be pushed in here from LGD. So at the very least, it'll be triple inhibs down. At most, it will be the game right here.
See if there's anything left in the tank. Any of these miracles, or for LGD, are finally back on the board.
Last line of defense. Zoom hops away, doesn't come in with the null ultimate just yet. There is no time to buy. Mao up in 4 seconds, but both Nexus turrets are down, and LGD, they're just focused on the prize. They're focused on the Nexus. They're just going to take this one down and look for the kills as well, because they know this one's over. Finally it falls, and LGD, they take us to a game 3.
Still need to close out the series, but finally some redemption for the Hangzhou crowd there. Don't often get to celebrate an LGD victory there.
It's been a long time, for sure. LGD have picked up wins here and there. We'll see if they can clean it out. But definitely good stuff from LGD, and that was JD falling apart. And it's one of those times when you see the Kai'Sa pick, and you're like, well, it wasn't Kai'Sa's fault, but we still lost with the pick.
Well, he definitely dove into the backline in 2 of those instances and died.
Yeah, that's true. That is definitely a minus on the pro Kai'Sa front, but it still did a lot of damage in that game. But Jinnu, he was able to scale, get to the late game, even though he had an abysmal laning phase. And FDY and Yuki, they were able to dish out the damage. And
the big story of this match was the 2 Barons bridged back-to-back. It allowed Jinnu to come back to actually be relevant, to maximize his damage output into this game. And it all comes back to Baron for Jingdong. I mean,
if you're the coach and if you're the team of JD, it's very obvious. This is like, well, we just need to clean up our Baron play because everything else seems pretty good. The early game was strong. They were able to rotate, but it was literally they lost Baron. They get caught at the worst times.
But it's about the specifics of what they need to clean up around the Baron play, because they had the right idea. They were trying to blitz into that red side jungle, but they were forcing plays too much. They thought that they had found a pick on Yuki. You talked about the 2v1 there, the fact that he's able to survive, and then it costs enough time that LG are able to collapse and then deny them from breaking into that jungle. So stop forcing, calm down, use your pieces, play it a little bit slower. JD have the right idea, but the wrong execution.
Yeah, maybe go back to something they're more comfortable with instead of picking up these Kai'Sa picks coming out here. But for that, we are going to send it over to the analyst desk to take a look at Game 2.
Thank you so much. And yes, we had another Kai'Sa. And Frosco, thank you so much for that call out during game. That feels good. But ultimately, RD lost with my favorite champion. Feels bad. Been a Kai'Sa main for a whole month now.
Come on. You're acting like you have a badge of honor here. Get the hell out of here.
No, but that's an important discussion that we actually do need to have, because we need to take a look at how the compositions fit together, where the Kai'Sa sort of plugs into this composition, and specifically why it failed for Jingdong. Because they had an idea. They had a direction, like Frosco said. It just didn't work.
I'll just start with step 1 in the pick then. Where's your pushing lane? They don't have one. They had the Alistar, Sejuani, Gnar. Gnar is a good lane to play towards. That's fair. But losing mid lane just because you picked up the Rise and, of course, the Cassio is a fantastic pick into that one. So immediately, LGD have a great mid lane pick. Bottom lane, they already had the Varus locked in really early on. So LGD, once again, have a fantastic range on the bottom side of the map because Kai'Sa has to play back. And then the jungle matchup, great. Olaf. I wanted to see this in game 1. This time we see it, and it's up against the Sejuani, who lost Flash very early on. So it should have been LGD with such a massive lead early on, because you can utilize Olaf to come back mid lane, maybe look towards getting into the Raptor camp and taking so much more control for your team. But then we didn't get to see that. We just saw Jingdong play after Jingdong play after Jingdong play.
You're exactly right. I mean, that we saw the 4-lane success from LGD during that early game. They did try to make a play bottom, and that's where we saw the Kai'Sa turn around and the strengths of Kai'Sa in chasing people down. And we also saw throughout the course of the game, that was the style that it looked like Jingdong wanted to go for. Rise ultimate to put Alistar into the back line, then Kai'Sa dashes up to follow through with the kill. Chasing. They found it multiple times. It was when they didn't find it that it was a problem.
Yeah, honestly, that's just a mistake on their front, because they did have a snowballing Kai'Sa.
Yeah.
The fact that they were able to take a lead in the bottom side of the map and just take a 2v2 up against the side of FDY and PYL was unfortunate, but they got that advantage. They moved mid lane. Great setup from Alistar, the immobilization to allow her to get into it and get the assassination. But then the moment they lose their head was just about 20 minutes into it, 21 minutes in, when they go towards the top side of the map and try for a 2v3 randomly. They they get the Olaf kill, but then just, they lose their 80 carry from that one. They lose the, I guess, 2-for-1 trade. And then, of course, the team at Jingdong are actually just trapped behind enemy lines, so they retrieve them, LGD does, and then they get the Baron, and suddenly this is a LGD win from that point forward. Sure, it was bouncing back and forward, but that's just because LGD are currently unrefined as a team.
Yes.
Any other team takes that lead and they push it home.
You're exactly right. It was Jingdong sort of disrespecting, I think, LGD, coming into this match and saying, hey, this is a team without Imp. This is a team with a new mid laner, with Intruder playing in the jungle. We don't have to worry about this. We're higher up in the rankings. We should be able to win. And then LGD says, hey, we may be the sleeping dragon, but we're still fierce.
Yeah, and you know who had that problem when they went up against LGD?
Who?
Sunny Gaming. Sunny Gaming went up against them. They went to the third game. We're like, okay, we'll play our stuff. And they lose out a team fight, and they lose the series up against LGD. Suning Gaming are still healing those wounds, knowing that Jingdong are just behind them. If Jingdong fall to the same trap, what are you doing? You should have seen this long ago.
It really is kind of a mess for the team because, as I said before the break, you know, this isn't supposed to be a super important game for Jingdong. This is supposed to be an easy win. Again, if they win, they tie with Suning, then we get the e-commerce wars, the final battle for 4th place. If they lose, which is now entirely possible, then we don't get the e-commerce wars. It suddenly becomes magnitudes of difficulty more complex for them to actually catch up and surpass Suning and take that final spot. That being said, we still saw some pretty neat stuff out of Jingdong. The Kai'Sa build was actually very clever. Of course, I have to talk about Kai'Sa. Going for the triple evolve as much as I can. What do you want to talk about there?
No, I think that's fair. Because you were just criticizing it the entire time. And I was just legitimately saying, no, the death stance is fair. We see this out of like the Korean players in solo queue. And sure, there's a lot of variations. You know that quite well. But the build that you get for yourself allows you to be a lot more in the enemy team's face, getting towards the ultimate, of course, like finding yourself behind them and being able to tank up a little bit more. We got to see that in the mid portions of the game when they were winning, but then later on you're like, well, I guess I just don't have the damage necessary to assassinate anybody. I'm dead.
And that's where I have to sadly look at Indiana and say maybe a regular carry would have been better there. Just chunking out the tanks from the front, surviving, Caitlyn, Ezreal, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, Ezreal was banned, and that was a fair ban on the side of LGD.
I
think the 2 picks that I wanted to see that were a lot more standard, Caitlyn and Tristana. Caitlyn does have a tough time against Varus Leona to be able to survive in that lane. The Tristana also has similar problems, but it works well for the composition that they have, that they can just play front to back. So this is one of those situations where I think the composition that they had, especially with the lead that they had early on, Jingdong should have still won out in the game. But if I roll back time, the players are just sitting in the chair.
Why do you take this composition
then
in the first place?
I would take Caitlyn, exactly. Yeah. And this is the same problem that Rogue Warriors had. Sure, Rogue Warriors were a good enough team to be able to take TOP with the composition, with the Kai'Sa pick. That's why they were still able to experiment and take the victory. Right now, Jingdong have showcased to me they're not that good yet.
Not yet.
Not good enough
they've still certainly got that time. Of course, Yuki will take our MVP for that game too. His play on Cassiopeia in the mid lane was very safe. It was very standard. He found himself dying only a single time and was able to keep pace and prevent Yagao from running across the map as that rise.
And he was crucial in these team fights. The miasma that he was able to output allowed it so he completely cut off the enemy team from the Kai'Sa who was behind him. So it was so much more difficult for the enemy team to look for any flank positions if your flanking portion of the composition is an AD carry and if she's completely moved away from your comp. So it was great on Yuki. Of course, it's a natural Cassiopeia pick. It's the standard if you're Cassio, send out miasma and you play front to back. But just the fact that he was able to play that role quite well for his team meant it was very easy for LGD to take
It's also super important about the positioning because we know Kai'Sa does tons of damage. If she ever gets on the Cassiopeia or dashes in, it's a dead snake. Yeah, that said, we did not get to see that this time. LGD were able to bring us to a Game 3. Question is, will Jingdong be able to tie with Suning, or will LGD take their first win in weeks? We'll find out just after this break.